I used quite a few different methods because there were a lot of different levels of questions that I wanted to answer. I wanted to know about the individuals. So I wanted to know about the individuals. So for that I used in-depth interviews. These were long interviews that were tape recorded.
A book, Just Like a Girl, published in 1976, influenced many later studies and has come to be seen as a classic in the sociology of gender, education and socialisation. So how did you go about setting up the research in the first place?
Originally, I was planning to do a questionnaire, which in fact I designed and did a questionnaire. And it was a fairly lengthy questionnaire. And when I was in the process, in fact, of doing the questionnaires and doing the research within the schools, I realised that it wasn't giving me the sort of information that I wanted it to give me. It wasn't giving me the actual detail and the meaning that I wanted. And that's really a function of the quantitative method. And so what I did was to arrange to do a whole series of interviews with a selection of the girls and talk about the main issues that I was interested in, which gave me a much more three-dimensional view of them. So in fact the questionnaire, as useful as it is, and I think it's really useful as a backcloth, it's a bit like it's a two-dimensional picture of what they think, and I wanted a three-dimensional so that I could actually put people into this background and put their meanings and a bit more of social dynamics and the reasons for things and motives for things. So in fact my methodology changed through the course of doing the research from an emphasis on quantitative with the survey, moving into more qualitative from the interviews, which I found really fulfilling to do, and then really fruitful, to have and to listen to, and to create voices from the girls, not just things on paper.
Sue Sharpe, thanks very much. Thought she was joking, but the research did get done, the book did get written, and it became a sociological classic. It opened up a whole new field of study, changed the way sociologists thought about domestic labour, and was seen as a major landmark in the newly emerging feminist sociology. So what questions were you looking to explore in the book?
The focus was very much on houseworkers' work. Now, this may not sound so extraordinary now, but at the time it was a revolutionary idea. Housework was something that happened behind closed doors. It was something that women did. It wasn't real work. It was the phrase "just a housewife" was heard a lot at the time. And what I wanted to do was to look at the experience of doing housework as work in the same way that sociologists had studied, for example, factory work, assembly line work, looking at aspects of work that had an influence on worker satisfaction or dissatisfaction, like work conditions, technology, working hours. I wanted to focus on work and not on marriage and family life.
So you're interested in the experiences of housewives, but how did you go about doing the research?
Well, obviously by talking to them about their experiences. So the main point of the study was a descriptive one. What is it that women feel about housework, and how do they talk about it? So clearly the study had to use some form of semi-structured interviewing, and that's what I did.
The sample is one where everyone in the chosen group has an equal chance of being selected.
So I selected a sample from 2 general practices in that area of London. I took names according to the letter of the alphabet of women who were married and had a child under 5. I do remember putting a tape recorder in a shopping basket in order to appear to be user-friendly on the doorstep. I thought it was important to actually talk to women face to face. And I think if you're using a mixture of structured questions and a more open-ended approach, then an interview setting is the best way to do that. So some of the questions I asked were open-ended ones. For example, I asked the women to tell me in great detail what they did yesterday. I wanted them to go through every minute of the last 24 hours. With prompts from me, yes, what did that mean and what happened next and so on. I asked quite a lot of questions immediately about domestic work conditions, about the house, about household technology, did the woman have a washing machine? They weren't that common in those days. I asked lots of questions about men's role in the home, questions about children, questions about the women's own sort of self-concepts and the extent to which being a housewife was or was not part of that.
So you use the interview method with open and semi-structured questions, but what are the main limitations of using this method?
I think, the limitations of all research are, to do with needing to trust the information that you're given. People can lie to you. To do with needing to trust the information that you're given. People can lie to you. People can lie to you in any situation. And you can't rule out that as a possibility. It's quite interesting, the study of housework. Other research has shown that if you ask women what men do in the home, they give different estimates and answers to the estimates and answers that the men with whom they live give. And in that situation, one is faced with, is he right? Is she right? What is going on here? So there's always that issue of needing to trust the information that you're given, of needing to trust the information that you're given.
So you've done the research. Now, what conclusions did you draw from the data?
Well, I think that I concluded that housework was fairly dissatisfying, a fairly dissatisfying kind of job. At the same time, housework then and today, housework is the major occupational role of women. In fact, most of the work on planet Earth is housework. Most of the work on planet Earth is housework. Most of the work on planet Earth is housework.
Anne Oakley, thank you very much.
Pleasure.